Discovering your true identity. So, is this book for somebody who's been on the abuser side, or the both parties? Is it more geared towards the person who's been abused, or is it geared towards the abuser to help them recover from bullying? Yeah.
Great question. The thing about this book, it's for everyone.
Okay.
We are talking about from children.
Okay.
Who are being abused. Because we're not just talking about adults. I cover from the children.
Okay.
What parents need to look for, what parents need to do. Sometimes we allow our kids to sit on someone's lap. Some of the little things that we take for granted, and you have to be careful about those things, because you need to know it's not the person that you think is the enemy that abuses or sexually abuses someone. It's that person that's right in the home. It's that neighbor, it's that uncle, it's that, you name it. And so I cover some of those things in there. It's not just the woman who's being abused, but there are men who are being abused and they're silent about it because they don't want to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Because there's so much shame that is associated with abuse and the bullying. Sometimes you have the mental abuse. You may not be physically abused, but you're also dealing with the mental abuse, the psychological abuse. You have different, I actually even, not to go too much into it, I even talk about medical abuse, trusting the doctor. And I trusted the doctor, and then the doctor did something that I wasn't aware of because I was young. And it wasn't until later on, come to find out, just the other day, that something that should not have taken place did take place.
You know, and we don't hear about that a lot. You enlightened me so far to a couple of things. The workplace abuse, and I was somewhat familiar, but I really wasn't. I was only familiar because I've talked to people who've been in that situation. And I'm like, wow, that's not a healthy situation. You're in a toxic situation, and me having leadership skills, I can recognize you're under somebody with bad leadership.
Yes.
So I just happened to recognize it, but it wasn't. I didn't label it. I didn't realize that until you just made me aware of that. That that's really probably more prevalent than not.
It is, because a lot of times, like, I know my therapist or my psychiatrist will ask me, why did you stay? But a lot of people are staying in the workplace and dealing with it because they need that paycheck to take care of their bills and their home. And that's the only reason I stayed.
Okay.
Because that money that I was making, it was good money.
Did you feel trapped though? Did you feel like a slave to the paycheck at that
I
point?
was, because you tend to rely on that check. And then I got to the point where I'm like, I don't have to rely on that check. I can rely on God. I don't have to do that. And being out, it's been 7 going on 8 years. And I know this 8th year, the 8 is like new beginning. And I'm watching my life just transform from one to the next. You know, so when you're dealing with things like that, you have to be that person and have to ask yourself, what is my life really worth? Is it worth you being here and where I almost died and unhappy, but I had the money? Or are you going to a place of doing something that you enjoy doing and not making that money, but you are happy and you're at peace? So that's the journey that I decided to take.
So now for you, it became like that life or death.
Yes.
My life versus. So now for somebody who's maybe not got to that life part, but they don't realize that that's the path they're heading down, how do you start to reprogram your mind? Does the book help me transform?
The book will help, because you start seeing the different things that I went through. And even now in speaking with others, and they're like, you know, I'm going through that on my job.
Yeah.
And so many more people are talking about it because of the book. Many times I thought about not doing the book. But then I'm like, if I can help just one person, it's worth it. And that was what kept me going in regards to finishing the book.